What's up?
What is up, everybody?
What's going on? What's that picture of you and Stormdog? You're just sitting there
This
like
thing
this.
on? Yeah.
Yeah, with that funny looking floppy hat on.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best pictures of all time. Yeah, happy Thursday. I don't know about you, but today is going to be powered by coffee, and more coffee.
Hmm.
Decided to be fun to wake up an hour and a half before my alarm this morning and
Mm.
never go back to sleep. So that was kind of cool. So
That sounds familiar.
yeah, so we vibing, and by that I mean we drinking a lot of coffee.
Yeah.
This is my second gigantic cup of the day, and it will not be my last. I promise you that.
Yeah, this is only number one. So.
Slacker.
Mm-hmm.
Those are rookie numbers, dude. Like, pick it up.
Yeah.
Come on. Anywho, another week, another live stream. Although we will not have one next week because of Thanksgiving. Holy crap! Thanksgiving is next Thursday. Where did that come from?
Yeah. Yeah. That's. I hadn't thought about that myself. So.
Yeah, kind of snuck up on us a little bit. But anywho, we're now just over 2/3 of the way through the first half of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we can go ahead and jump right into talking about league last week. It was a fun night for you and me specifically because, well, number one, you both bowled really well,
Yeah.
but number two, we were also facing off. I run a virtual league for folks that are behind the paywall in Luke's Discord server, and Luke and I were facing off head to head against each other in the virtual league. So I told some friends of ours, Eric Moore, who's right beside us on Trevor's team, and Eric walks over to me after game two, and he was like, "So how does it feel to be shooting 5'11" and losing in your virtual league match?"
Yeah. I at least made it interesting. So.
No, you made me work for it. I'm going to be honest. After about halfway through game two, right before I ball changed, I pretty much resigned myself to the fact that I was going to lose series because I knew if I didn't ball change, there was zero chance that I would be able to get you.
Mm-hmm.
You were striking too much, and you just got tapped a bunch. I feel like it was a somewhat fortunate 7-bagger in the middle of game three to Houdini. It felt like a Houdini night for me, honestly. I guess we can kind of transition to talking about the match. Jay bowled really well. He just after game one, I think he just got like his ball did the wrong thing just enough to not put together an absolute monster back two, but I mean he still bowled well.
Yeah, it's kind of what happened to me the last game. He just really couldn't put much together.
Yep.
As score wise, there wasn't really anything different about his execution. Just
yeah, that's kind of how the cookie crumbles sometimes. Yeah, really solid night from Jaden again. I felt like she bowled better than the 177 she actually put up game three, but I think we also, knowing that Jay and Smallwood were there on the right side, I think we kind of knew that was in the realm of outcomes where she might just kind of get caught up in a little bit of that transition. Ken, it is 1:06 in the afternoon.
Please keep talking about. Must be on West Coast time.
Yeah, something like that.
It's still technically morning on the west.
I refuse to acknowledge that reality. I absolutely refuse.
But I actually think that the same thing happens to Jaden that happens to me the last game, because I was talking to Trevor about it too, because he doesn't have a solution for game three. Like, everything's fine, nothing really changes about execution. The lanes just change enough that it messes with your angles, and I think that's exactly what happens. What Jaden gets into, the ball starts hooking a little bit early, which is what happened to me at the very end of the second game. I had the front 10, and then I grabbed one a little bit, but it also really took off. And then the first part of the third game was like, well, I got to move in. Same thing happens to her, where she's like, well, I got to move in, but then all of a sudden everything's a little long and flat, and so it's this in between. If you stay out, the ball's too early. If you move in just even the slightest bit, then all of a sudden it's too late. And I think it's just
kind of get
angle issues happen the last game.
And,
but typically, you have a strong last game. I think
my middle game is actually my best statistically.
Yeah, it's your best, but you typically have. I mean, typically all the games are fairly high.
Yeah, I was going to say
But
I'm averaging
pretty sure it's like the
247.
last game too. So
Yeah, I'm averaging 247, so it's not like I completely suck game 3 or something.
yeah.
But yeah, and then Noah, I actually found out after Noah's back wasn't feeling too great last week.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't really have. It was kind of a similar situation for him as when we bowled. Was it when we bowled Nick Vaughn's team where I couldn't move my back? I think it was, and so it was kind of a similar situation for him. So with that going on, to grind out basically pretty dang close to his average felt like a pretty solid night's work.
Yeah, he was
A little bit of a hunting for him, I think, right now with equipment and ball reaction, trying to get that matched up right.
Yeah, he was tugging everything for the first couple games, and then it just his ball reaction gets weird sometimes. Like he brings the same stuff every week, and sometimes it looks really good, and then on other nights it's like, well, what, this doesn't even look like the same ball. It's just not.
Yeah,
it's just not doing the right things. But I think we talked a little bit about last week that Jay's kind of the big shooter on the team, and as long as the other guys, pretty well the scenario that we talked about was, if Jay can put up a big game and these other guys can put up something solid, then 920 is tough. We just outscored them the first game, and then everybody but Jay it was one of those comical games where you're in the middle of doing it and you can't even believe it's happening to you. Just absolutely everything goes wrong. Every decision you make just has to be the wrong one. It's just
I'm going to be honest. I didn't even realize Ken shot 150 until halfway through game 3.
Yeah.
Because I was just sitting there like I'm not that big of a scoreboard watcher anymore. At least not in a league situation, not in a team-based situation like this week. And so I just kind of, I talk with my team. I'll watch what they're doing. If I see something where I can help, then we talk about it. But otherwise, I just kind of do my thing, and then I didn't even. It didn't even I didn't even know until we were in game 3 that we won game 2 by as much as we did.
Mm-hmm.
That I knew we had the game won, and so I'm just like, okay, we've got the game covered. I've got my point, so let's just learn what we can and move on from there. So.
Yeah, and at that point, we winning the first game was big, and then we pulled away really quick in the second game, and then by the end of that, it's like, okay, we're gonna get 3 points no matter what happens this last game. And then my carry kind of went away. You had to basically have that big. I think
it was spare strike, spare 7-bagger, 610 or something like that.
Yeah, because I think I had 5 straight 9 spares in a row. Noah struck out. He threw his second week in a row. He's thrown 3 absolutely perfect shots in the 10th frame of game 3.
His last 7 were like all aced.
Yeah.
And once he finally got loose and in sync, he was golden, but it just took him a bit to get there.
Yeah, I couldn't get the pins down, and so I started getting a little tight trying to chase carry, or at least just keep hitting the pocket. And they just didn't go down, and then Jaden again, angle issues, but we barely pulled that one out. And even if we didn't, we got 29 points, didn't we?
Yeah,
so it still would have been
29-3. Yeah.
It still would have been 25 points if we didn't get that last, which is, I'll take that. I'm glad that we, finished the game off.
Yeah.
And
I didn't wish that was another thing of me not being that big of a scoreboard watcher is I didn't realize how close, I thought we had the game won after I struck.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just throw an absolutely atrocious shot, straight at the 3-pin and leave a 3-6. And then I look up at the scoreboard and I'm like, oh, that was close.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things, we're so used to being in the 900s that if you look at the opposing score and they're up there for 840, 850, 860, it's kind of like, oh, okay, we're fine.
Well, I think Jay was coming into the 10th on a double, and I was on a strike or something, and I just mathed it wrong, and I thought we had an extra mark on him, though we didn't. I think is roughly what happened. So, it is what it is. Yes, very, very solid night from us overall. Also, a bit of late breaking news: Noah is actually not going to be there tonight. He is not feeling well.
Oh, okay. So we're taking his
So we're
average tonight.
probably going to take his average unless I can find like a
207.
crystal or someone. Which actually, let me send a quick text. Equipment wise, what did you threw the summit all night, right? It's pretty much one of those
Yeah,
nights again.
I should have switched that last game, but it's one of those things where it's really tough to get off of something when by the time you make the decision and say, okay, well, I absolutely have to get out of this ball, you make a couple adjustments and nothing works. And by the time you have to get out of the ball, it's like 6th or 7th frame and we're in a close game. And I'm like, well, I know that I can hit the pocket with this. I'm not going to risk something dumb happening.
Yeah.
Switching to a different ball in the 7th or 8th frame of the last game in a close game. I'm just going to stay home. I had my point against Mike pretty well the whole way, and we were in the team game. And so at that point, that's one of those other decisions where, you're sitting there looking at like, okay, well, I have to make a ball change or I'm not going to be in there. Mine is like, well, it's probably in my best interest to just stay home.
Yours, you're in there, so you might as well just grind out what you can because a ball change, like you knew essentially if you kept making decent shots, you realistically probably shot your floor game 3 if you stay in the summit. I think you probably knew that halfway through the game. Is like that was a worst case outcome was a clean 2-0 versus if you ball change. Yeah, I also don't think you had above 230 game 3 realistically speaking.
No, and that's.
But if you ball change to like a phase G or something like that, then maybe you get 250, but that also brings 180 into play.
Yeah, that's the other thing is I didn't know that I needed to ball change early enough for it to have really been an option.
Yeah. And then you get to like 5th, 6th frame, and it's like, well, crap, I'm here. I've got 2 strikes in 6 frames, and I don't know if I ball change if I'll even hit the pocket. So that's not a very fun situation.
Yeah, I didn't have the frames to now. If we get into the second game and I'm starting to see it go away, and then I think, okay, well, I can spend the first couple frames of game 3 getting adjusted or figuring this out. It was the 6th or 7th frame before I realized I needed to get out of it. And at that point, it's all back into, if I can shoot 2-0 for 740, I will do that every week.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's a little bit of a similar situation to what I had a few weeks ago when I threw my top speed the first 2.5 games.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you get halfway through game 3 and it's like, well, crap, this is not the right ball to be throwing anymore. What do?
Yeah. But again, we figured, again, they're a fairly similar team to us. They have the, Jay.
They've got a pretty similar build to us, overall.
Yeah, that you can pencil in for that 720 to 750 every single week. Smallwood had a down night. He's normally, consistent. He's normally a whole lot closer to his average. I'm not really sure what the deal was with him.
I was talking with him because I was talking to him up at the Tomsu last weekend. He just wasn't. He said he's not like all of his stuff that has any int diff whatsoever just isn't seeing the lane right. It's just like it is. He can't get it to get to the right spot and then also read the right spot correctly at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like he either gets it to read correctly, but it's half a panel too early, or he gets it there and then it just bails.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of limited to one ball, which was his Venom Shock, and it wasn't even 100% doing the right things. So it's kind of a little bit of a mystery right now. But.
Yeah, and I think Mike Gilmore, the lefty, I think he just starts too deep, but he's got a really rolly rev heavy game, and so he does have to start in to get the ball down the lane. But as soon as the back end start settling down, then it's just angle issues.
All bets are off. Yeah,
just catastrophe. And so I think that's the only reason that his average is down is if he could find a way to stay a little bit straighter.
Yeah,
they just get really cliffy when they start breaking down.
Maybe he should get rid of his motive balls and get some swag balls.
But kind of a down night for the rest of their team. What they bowled the first game is closer to what we were kind of hoping to guard against.
If they had gone 9-20 all 3, that wouldn't have surprised me in the slightest. Too. Like,
yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
That was 100% in the range of outcomes. So,
or 860 to 880 is
yeah.
Perfectly within reason, and
Yep.
what we kind of had to plan on.
Game 1 and game 3 makes sense. We just didn't see game 2 coming whatsoever.
Yeah.
Which
So
you wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Yeah, and again, getting anything over 25 points is kind of a unicorn. We've done it several times, but it's nothing that you can really go into this planning on. Sure, give Jay 750. That's not a shock at all. Those other guys having rough, all the rest of them having rough nights, and Ken having to shoot 240 to get to 6-0. That we didn't really count on that. So
yeah, so it is what it is. But yeah, definitely another good night for us. So I guess let's kind of switch over, take a quick look. So these are the wow, good English. These are the standings after week 11, where we had a solid lead of 23.5 on Team Ottawa, with Rob, Russ, and Trevor behind them. Let's see, what was Russ and Trevor actually bowled each other right beside us last week?
Yeah.
Trevor took 20, which actually works out well for us to kind of improve that gap. And Team Ottawa, I think, took 10.5.
Yeah.
No
innings. Oh no, they took 20.
20. They took 20. Yeah,
so,
but we took 20. They took 20.5, and we took 29. So that gapped that a little bit more. So obviously can't call it yet, because there's very much still a mathematical chance that we could fall out of it, but it's looking pretty good for us to win the first half at this point. Got a full week's lead on second and a week and a half on third, and we've already bowled both of them. And then Trevor's team in fourth, Russ's team in fifth. Crouch, we actually bowled a week after Thanksgiving, and that's it for who we haven't bowled in the top half.
Yeah.
So we got 5 weeks left. We got those three, Zach, and obviously Mr. Smith's team tonight. So, in a pretty good spot. And
I mean, this is one of those things where Trevor or Russ could completely wipe us, and we'd still have a 20-point lead on them.
Yeah.
So that's a nice place. That's a nice place to be.
Makes the swing a little bit looser. So.
Yeah, and so realistically, even if we back into this, even if we get 10 points against Trevor, which I don't think is going to happen, or if we get 10 points against Russ or 10 points against Crouch, it's ours to lose at this point. Again, it's like you said, it's not mathematically guaranteed, but it's, we could have several bad weeks and still be in decent shape.
Yeah. So it's just kind of one foot in front of the other still, and just kind of keep plugging along.
Yeah. So on to this week.
Yeah. We are bowling. This week we are bowling Mr. Smith, aka Yuri Salevich. Did I say that right? I think
Salevich. Yep.
Yeah. Or Smith, as he likes to say.
Sazizel Wixies.
The first time I read that, I didn't even try that. I just literally said, like, dude, how do you pronounce that? I think he deadpan said Smith the first time, and I was really confused.
That's what he did that to me too. And it kind of makes you stop and blink, and but
Yuri's a good dude. Obviously, Angel on the other side as well. She's probably going to be up against Noah, which okay. So then Wes in this is pretty much the lineup they've run with all year. They actually just made the switch. Yuri was anchor. Jonathan, our lead is a full week's worth of points over second, which we have already bowled second and third. So it's just a few. So we're in decent shape, and we got 5 weeks left in the first half. So they actually just made the switch. You and I were talking about it this morning. Yuri was in the anchor spot to start the year. He was the captain of this team, obviously, because he's got his name on it. And then Tyler was rejoining the league. He took a year or two off to go down and bowl for Weber University or Weber International, or whatever that university is called. So Tyler came back. Tyler's like sixth or seventh in the sixth, I think, in average right now. So he's having a really solid year, which is to be expected. He's a really, really, really good bowler. He's the guy that won the TAT this year, just a couple months ago, actually. So very, very solid. Really, really like he will, if he needs to make a shot, he will make the shot, and that's never really going to be in question.
Yeah.
So, and then Wes obviously has Wes bowls for Ottawa. He's another of the Ottawa kids. He bowled as Freed last year, I believe. And
yeah, I think he actually graduated.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah,
I was thinking he had one more year left. But,
well, I think he didn't have a year of eligibility left. I don't think he's bowling with him. I think he was finishing up his masters or something like that.
Okay, that's fair. And then, of course, Angel. I'm actually more worried about her than anybody else on the team tonight because she's been like some stuff's been clicking, and I mean she was a few unfortunate hits away from 720 last week.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, she's made a concerted effort to really slow things down.
Yeah,
and pay a little bit more attention. I think she kind of gets on cruise control sometimes or has other things on her mind, but she hasn't been bowling as well as she's wanted to, and so she stopped and really started paying attention. And so that's why
I'm worried.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't mean that as to clarify. I mean that as a compliment, not an insult. Mm-hmm. Because when Angel is on, she is like she'd be one of the best 2-hole bowlers in the entire league.
Yeah, because she just doesn't really miss the pocket. The problem for her is the last game. And it seems like the problem for their whole team is the last game. I think this is a fairly consistent story for them because they went 9-0, 9-10, 740. And I think because Wesley and Tyler kind of shimwreck each other, and then Yuri and Angel are out there. Angel's a little bit deeper. Yuri points it from the corner. He's Liz Johnson, just straight up Liz Johnson. And Angel kind of plays
Liz Johnson, but no hair.
Yeah. But he plays, or Angel plays the little soft swing, and so I think the lanes just get choppy, especially depending on who they're bowling against. And last week it would have gotten all kinds of, because Maiten's a two-hander. Crouch kind of plays. He used to play a whole lot deeper. Now he kind of plays the track area. Jonathan straight up the lane. Norm straight up the lane. And so that pair had to have gotten just wrecked.
Brutal. Yeah. Not for sure. So, which when we bowl a Crouch's team, that'll be really interesting to see how that breaks down.
Yeah. See, luckily enough, I don't have to worry about that. So
yeah, must be nice.
Yeah.
But no, it's going to be another fun night. I think this almost feels like a trap game for us. Like in theory, we should still win. Because I feel like we kind of have the advantage, especially in the Jaden West matchup. But
they're both Ottawa kids, and Jaden's definitely going to be she's going to be working the mind games, I'm sure. And Wesley's going to there's going to be extra
extra motivation there. For sure.
Yeah. But
then you versus Yuri, I think is going to be. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
She keeps it in play a little bit better than Wesley, and Wesley's going to have more trouble with transition.
Yeah.
Just because of his game, not because of any other real issue. It's just Jaden has a very just point it right in there, take the lane out of play. Yeah. She's not going to be as affected by things.
Yeah, and then Yuri, you versus Yuri, I think is going to be a really fun match because you guys are almost lefty-righty equivalents of each other, realistically speaking. And with Yuri kind of being able to plunk it down there by himself, and you'll be by yourself, barring any subs. So when you combine all of that, I think it's. And then me versus Tyler, I actually think Tyler's going to be curving, going around me, if I had to guess. Especially knowing that Wes is on this pair, I'm going to try to stay right and avoid his jet wash as much as I can. Which, hopefully, I'll be able to do that fairly effectively. That's actually a good question. So, William, the way payouts work for Medlin is the main payout is there's like a top 5 bonus for each half. And that'll be like a flat like first will get like an extra $500 a half or something like that, just to kind of
Mhm.
throw a number out. And then there's payouts for stuff like high game and high series for both team and individual for each half.
Mhm.
And then after that, pretty much all of the payouts are just a flat like dollar amount per point that your team won for the year.
Mhm.
So especially with us going to $30 a night of league fees with 34 weeks, and I think we're paying what 12 or 12.50 in lineage, so that's 18. No, Jonathan, same team for the entire season. No redraft at the halfway point. So then back of the napkin math, $18 a night, 72 bowlers per night, 34 weeks, whatever that works out to. That's a lot.
A lot.
So I mean, I'm expecting our prize fund to be 30 in the low 30,000 range, like low 30s, realistically speaking, if not
Yeah.
more. Actually, here,
Typically, if you've had a good year in the past, so there was one year that Keeler walked out with $1,100 because he averaged 240. He got if you're in the top like 5-6 of individual points, because we all bowl the person across from us for points. And if you're in the top 5 of that, you get paid based on that. You also get paid based on your average for the year. If you end up in a captain spot, which is basically the top 18 averages, I think the low is, $45, $50 all the way up to like 180 ish.
Yeah.
If you're
mine was
average.
close to 200 last year and I was 5th in average.
Yeah. So yeah, you got that on top.
There's money to be had. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that, especially with the lineage or with the league dues going up this year, if we continue to do what we're doing, we should all be up around $1,000. You'll clear that pretty easily just because of your average and where you're going to end up in the captain spot and series game, whatever else, plus the amount of points you're winning. So you could conceivably be up around $1,500, and the rest of us could easily get to 1,000.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. So it's a little different than how some other leagues do it, and there's some sponsorship stuff that also gets factored in, but close to 40. Yeah, so I was doing a little bit of math while Luke was talking. 72 bowlers a night, 18. I'm guesstimating $18 a night towards the prize fund for 34 weeks. That's $44,064.
Yeah.
So that is just a few dollar reduce what we'll have to work with this year.
Yep.
So, anywho, let's try to not go for like 45 minutes today. How about that as a goal? So,
yeah.
Been going for 29 already. Just a quick look at the matchup this week. So we are on 9 and 10. The average by paragraph has gotten very, very interesting the last few weeks. 11 and 12 has slowed down a lot. There have been a couple of really, really low scoring matchups on there. I think Tennyson's team hit that pair one time, which their points against, I'm pretty sure, is one of the lowest in the league because what that team does to pairs, they just make it really, really ugly. So his league average is 214.92. Average on 9 and 10 is a full 5 pins above that, which this deep into a season is a fairly substantial margin.
It was kind of cresting on 9 and 10, like the outer pairs, 15, 16, 17, 18, 1 through 4 had been lower. And then the closer you got to 9 and 10, the higher the averages got. But it's kind of gotten mixed up.
It's separated a little bit more as well. So I'm surprised to see 11 and 12 not scoring that well. I haven't really seen a huge problem with that pair. And
I think it's fallen off a cliff, too.
Yeah.
Because
that's definitely.
It was up around 16, 17.
Yeah, it was. So 11 and 12 was the second highest scoring pair, and then I think it's now the fourth highest. It's been passed by 7 and 8 and 13 and 14. But 9 and 10 pretty consistently has been the highest scoring pair this year, and I think it was one of the higher ones last year as well. So this is relative to other matches. It's going to be a little more of a shootout tonight. Our last time on this pair was our best night of the season from both a points and a pinfall perspective. That was when the three of us all shot 750, and we bowled Danny Bradley's team. And then so that was back in week 9, so that was just a few weeks ago. And then the Team Smith was last on this pair way back in week 3, and Angel actually I realized that Angel had a really, really good start, and then Adam Riley just shot a bajillion at her.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not a bad night for the team. It's just they got dunked on.
Mm-hmm.
So, which I think there have been 4 or 5 2800s so far this season, and I think all but 1 or 2 of them have been on 9 and 10.
Mm.
So it's definitely a little more of a strike fest pair than most.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But
so yeah, I mean, I would say again, just looking at it on paper, I'd say that we're safe for 20 again.
In theory, yeah. But I mean, if they all show up and if you hits don't go our ways, this could easily be a trap game and we end up grinding out to get 10. So I definitely see that in the range of outcomes.
If we end up using Noah's average, Angel could easily pick 3 points off of that. That could, at least 3. It depends on if she's able to keep it together the last game. Then yeah, she could wipe that pretty easily.
Yeah, if the same Angel as last week shows up, I think Schultz. I would actually bet on her to sweep Noah because that's going to be a little less transition for her as well.
Yeah, Tyler has shot 800 this year. I mean, he's averaging 230 something. So you can pretty well. It's same deal as Jay. You can pretty well pencil him in for 720 to 750 pretty easily. If that happens, wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
Yuri again keeps out of trouble, and if things are favorable, he can pop 720 in there really easily because again he kind of takes the lane out of play, so it doesn't even really matter if he's getting the hits at the pocket. Then he's going to have a huge night. Wesley can put something in there, but and I think that he has put a couple good sets in because he started off really rough to the year. I mean, it was 6 weeks. It was 6 weeks before he
6 weeks of misery, and then he's finally found it and started putting some games.
Mm-hmm.
Good question from Storm B, by the way. That sorry, just didn't mean to cut you off. Good question from Storm B that I said good transition into kind of our last talking point. Equipment wise this week, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of tongue in cheek thing. It's just it's such a ridiculously competitive league that, and it's not like the shot. I mean, it's a regular house shot, but I would say that there's house shots a lot of other places that are significantly easier than what we bowl on.
Yeah,
it's just we've got Jay Futrell, for example, has 2 Eagles and a national team championship at Wichita State. Yeah, he's got a team and an all events Eagle.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's like 5 Eagles, 4 ITCs, and a bunch, and like 5 or 6 guys that easily, if they wanted to, would have multiple PBA national titles. Right?
Yeah, Yuri's got a national championship at Nebraska. Now, granted, that was 30 years ago, but
I did not know that. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Tyler just won the TAT a couple months ago.
Yeah, and bowled for Weber for 2 years.
Yeah,
so he's kind of good.
So yeah, there's this. It's just a ridiculously stacked league.
Yeah.
But yeah,
equipment wise, I'm probably just going to bring the exact same bag as last week, honestly, which will be Perfect Mindset, NV Tour, Fireball, and Kinetic Cobalt. I'm probably going to put a little bit of surface on the Fireball just to kind of help it slow down a little quicker. Or I might plunk in my pinup Widow Hybrid. I haven't decided yet, but it'll probably just be the Fireball. Keep it really, really simple. For you, Luke, I'm guessing it's just going to be throw the Summit until you're blue in the face and then keep throwing the Summit. Realistically speaking. Actually, that's another good question from William. Is like Luke's averaging.
If they put down Chromium or something like that, the scores would get higher.
Yeah.
Chromium is actually significantly easier. Challenge patterns are significantly easier than a
challenge pattern.
Royal Crest and the house shot is.
Yeah, a challenge pattern in this league would be so easy game 3.
Yeah, that's what's actually keeping the averages down is the bumper to the right. That's what causes the issues. Is that once you have to get in a little bit, then it's a little wishy-washy down the back ends. And if you could, if you didn't have that bumper to worry about, it
would actually make it a little bit easier. I think it wouldn't be quite as easy on the fresh, but I think you'd see a much higher game 3 average.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's exactly it, Storm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take the overcliff away, and that'll make it get a little nicer throughout the night.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just going to be at the summit again. I'm going to be by myself over there, and so hopefully that will contribute to me not having that angle issue the last game, because I was able to just kind of sit there, and I shot 750 last time we were on this pair, and it was just a couple weeks ago, and the last couple weeks for me have been 740, 730, and so I think four out of the last 5 or 5 out of the last 6 weeks have been over 700, so I've got it fairly well figured out, and I do need to figure out a game 3 ball just in case the same thing happens. It has happened a couple times where I've had big numbers going in and then have just lost everything the last game. But I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what that would be yet. Trevor hasn't figured it out either, and so if Trevor can't figure out game 3, then
exactly.
But yeah, that's the game plan. Is just I could take a summit and my plastic ball in and be just as good as just as good as dragging those extra 3 in there for really no reason, because they don't get used.
Yeah, exactly. I was putting my stuff together earlier. I did a little bit of cleaning and maintenance earlier today. I almost built a roller of NV2 or Fireball spare, and that was it. Like, that was very much in consideration. But then I chickened out. I'm gonna bring the Perfect and the Cobalt just in case they get weird. So,
yeah, I think once I get a couple more.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think once I get a couple more games on the TNT infused and feel a little bit more comfortable with that, it's early and chuggy like the Summit is, and so if I can just ball down to the Summit and stay exactly where I'm at, then that could. And I had the inkling to kind of do that, but again, the track got so crispy that if the Summit is responsive off that, then something more responsive than that is going to check even more. And so that's the trick, is I'm going to have to find something that I can move inside with, but that's also going to shape a little bit more. I don't know if that's the Blackout, or if I just stay home and rocket the Phase G down the side, for example. It might just be stay home and throw it harder type of deal.
I don't hate the idea of rocket with the Phase G. That ball looks pretty special for you, and you can kind of close it up a little bit.
But yeah, I'm gonna. And I also thought about putting a little bit more surface on the Journey. I tried that a couple weeks ago on Friday night, and actually it didn't look that great. But I was an arrow deeper than I should have been, and I didn't figure that out until I got into the Blackout. And I'm like, I keep wanting to throw this ball just straight at the ditch. I'm like, okay, well, I forgot that I'm standing here instead of here now, and so. Yeah. The Journey looked okay. It would have looked better if I would have been doing what I was supposed to be doing with it. But again, I think it's just going to end up catfishing me again. I think it's just too fast, and the amount of surface that I'm going to have to keep on it
to make it slow down
is going to keep it right on top of the Summit anyway. So
yeah,
but
we shall see what happens. But yeah, I think we got to get out of here. I definitely have some work to get done. Gotta go earn that paycheck.
Yeah.
But also, quick note: I will be. Sorry, say what?
No, I was just gonna say we've successfully talked it into the ground for another week. So.
Yes. We should set a goal to do it under 30 minutes next week. How about that?
Yeah.
Not ramble for quite so long.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I will be doing another. We'll be doing another recording and commentary video tonight over on my channel from this. So I'll have my phone there recording everything, and Luke and I'll have mics to kind of talk throughout the night over what we're seeing in transition and such. I think it'll be much more interesting for me than for Luke, given what I expect the right side transition to look like throughout the night. But should be a good time, and get to watch Luke and Angel and myself all both on the same pair at the same time. So try and have some fun, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. So that'll be live on my channel probably over the weekend or early next week.
Yeah, once again, I would put us at between 20 and 25 points if we end up splitting with them. I wouldn't be terribly surprised at that either. So,
yep, I'd agree with that for sure. So, gonna be a fun night for sure. So, anywho,
all right.
Till next time.
Yep. We'll see y'all later.